I'm Shafi Mustafa. I'm excited to kick off day 2 of StreamTV. Yesterday's panels were on point, and several key themes panelists touched on really resonated with me, including the topics of aligning audiences with content, considering the opportunities to leverage AI, and the need to reduce friction in the supply path. So this morning, we're going to tie all of this together in our discussion, tackling one of CTV's biggest challenges, audience fragmentation. I'll share some lessons we've learned delving deep into this issue, working as an ad tech and innovations partner with leading CTV publishers, along with a real-world case study where we enabled a major content distributor to leverage AI-driven solutions to overcome fragmentation. By the end of this session, I hope you gain some key insights as you think about your own CTV strategies. So let's dive right in. Let's start by looking at what we call the CTV audience fragmentation dilemma. The good news first. Nearly 90% of US households now have a CTV device, and latest forecasts are projecting over $30 billion in CTV ad spend this year. So the opportunity is massive and it's growing. But here's the challenge: fragmentation. There are over 43,000 apps and 1,900 active FAST channels. As a result, advertisers are having a tough time navigating a really fragmented landscape. In fact, 79% of buyers say it's a critical challenge. So let's zoom into this just a little bit more down to a household level, which is something that I believe we can all relate to. On average, US households are using 7.3 different apps to stream content, and nearly a third of households are using 10 or more apps. And co-viewing, there's about 1.44 people in any given room, and things start to get really complicated here. Let's think about a family of 4 with 3 shared household devices. Their viewing habits involve bouncing between different apps, channels, destinations, devices all day long. This here is fragmentation, and it makes it harder for advertisers to connect with the right audiences at the right time while they're watching the right content. So how are advertisers dealing with fragmentation? Audience-based buying. Instead of buying ads based on the app or the channel, they're buying based on who's watching, characteristics like demographics, interests, behaviors. In fact, 76% of advertisers now prioritize audience-based buying. This helps them reach the right viewers across the landscape. However, many CTV publishers today are just not equipped to sell on an audience basis. So let's explore this gap a little bit closer between how CTV is bought versus how it's sold. As we just touched on, advertisers want to buy based on who's watching the content. We're talking groups like auto intenders or undecided voters, gaming enthusiasts, specific viewer segments that match their campaign objectives. But CTV, on the other hand, is still primarily sold on an app, channel, or platform basis, meaning where the content is being viewed. This results in advertisers needing to navigate a fragmented maze of inventory to be able to find their audiences. And this is not just about disjointed data and fragmented technology. There's a real financial impact on this gap between the way CTV is bought and the way it's sold. We find that advertisers struggle to reach audiences, lacking transparency and control, leading to higher costs and wasted ad spend. And then for publishers, they're left with under-monetized inventory and a sales process that's way more complex than it needs to be. Valuable ad space isn't being fully realized. At Elemental, our mission is to build technology solutions that bridge this very gap. So it's at this point in our discussion, I'd like to move into a case study with our work with Fremantle, where we help them address these very challenges and unlock the true value of their inventory. If you caught the great panel yesterday, you may have heard from Matt Katroser at Fremantle talk a little bit about the amazing work that they're doing in delivering data-activated audiences at scale. We're fortunate to partner with Fremantle, and I'd like to thank Matt and the entire Fremantle team for letting us share more about our collaboration today. Fremantle's content reaches over 1 billion viewers worldwide. We've all seen their shows, we're familiar with them: American Idol, Family Feud, America's Got Talent. Their iconic content spans not only CTV, but also digital, social, and even traditional linear. But with such a wide distribution, Fremantle faced a big challenge: audience fragmentation across platforms. Viewers were scattered, making it difficult to fully monetize their audiences at scale. That's where they turned to Elemental as a strategic advisor and technology partner. And today, I'd like to share a closer look at how we work together to turn this challenge into a growth opportunity for Fremantle. So first, it's important that we understand CTV audience fragmentation through the lens of a content distributor. So Fremantle, as I mentioned, is a multi-platform content distributor. They have a vast content library along with extensive reach. Their library has over 40,000 hours of premium content and globally recognized names that advertisers want to connect with. On the other hand, they have content distribution, right? Fremantle's content is distributed widely across all of the CTV apps and destinations. So this allows viewers to watch the content they love wherever they choose to watch. And while this broad distribution helps expand Fremantle's content reach, it also introduces fragmentation. They reach over 100 million households, but fragmented viewing makes it hard to unify this audience data and package it for advertisers. Advertisers want Fremantle's audiences aligned with its content, but it's difficult to piece together who's watching across all of these platforms. This is the challenge. So this brings us to our solution: one audience, our transformative solution that bridges the gap between how CTV is bought and how it's sold. With one audience, we help publishers use AI-driven audience segmentation to deliver curated data-activated audiences directly to DSPs. It simplifies things for both sides. Publishers can identify and package fragmented inventory into precise audience PMPs, and advertisers can reach their desired audiences at scale without complexity. Just last week, we announced Fremantle as the first publisher to leverage one audience, making its entire CTV content library available for programmatic access, marking a major milestone in our industry. So let's now take a closer look at how one audience works. We begin with what we call the identification and insights phase. And this is where we start to identify and unlock these fragmented audiences. First, we ingest raw traffic data from across billions of ad requests across the CTV landscape. This data is then matched with Elemental's identity graph, giving us a clearer picture of the audience based on demographics, behaviors, and interest. Next, we move to audience analysis. Here, AI is leveraged to assess patterns such as viewing behaviors and engagement, helping us generate deeper audience insights. And now these insights, they power two powerful outcomes. One, they inform the next phase of smart curation. And secondly, they empower sales teams to be able to share data-driven narratives about their audiences through tools like our Audience Insights report. Now, moving into phase two, this is where we get into what I believe is just the really badass part of our solution. Here, this is where AI-powered smart curation comes into play. And these raw insights that I just discussed become curated, actionable audience segments. So after identifying the audience in the previous phase, we enrich with additional layers of demographic, behavioral, interest, contextual data to create this holistic 360 audience view, which drives highly relevant audience segments. From there, what makes smart curation truly special is its dynamic segmentation capability, where AI continually analyzes real-time data, refining these audience groups So advertisers always get the most updated and relevant segments. So whether it's undecided voters, and who doesn't love an undecided voters 6 weeks before the election, or family-friendly game shows, a segment that consistently indexes high for Fremantle, or sports fans, or pet lovers, there are tens of thousands of available audience curation segments in one audience. These segments are packaged into custom PMPs, aligning fully with advertiser goals. And then finally, as we move into the third phase of this process, programmatic delivery, I want to highlight that one of the key learnings that we gain from spending a lot of time with buyers is they're often highly committed to their existing buying setup. Any solution needed to work seamlessly with their current environment, which led us to focus on integration. In this phase, curated audience segments are pushed directly to the buyer's preferred DSPs for activation. One audience is integrated with over 100 major DSPs, meaning advertisers can access these audiences within their existing workflows, whether it's the trade desk, DV360, or others. Two key benefits here. First, advertisers get the right audiences delivered to their preferred platforms. And two, publishers maintain control of their inventory, reducing friction and streamlining the supply path. So now that I've given you each of the components, let's for a moment telescope back out and see how the power of the one audience journey comes together from what we call data to activation. First, we begin by gathering large volumes of traffic data across the CTV landscape. On its own, this raw data can be highly chaotic, scattered across multiple environments. But this is where AI is useful for us, turning that noise into actionable insights. Our platform sifts through the data, identifying patterns, transforming fragmented audiences into clear, actionable segments. Next, AI-driven insights enrich these segments, using dynamic segmentation to refine them down into highly curated, buyer-aligned audience PMPs. And then finally, programmatic delivery, this curated audience PMP is pushed directly to the DSP for seamless activation. In the end, fragmented data becomes high-value audience segments delivered programmatically for activation. So let's summarize what one audience means for a publisher like Fremantle. First, it fills that audience data gap, and it gives them this holistic picture, and they leverage deeper insights, not just for monetization, but also in other areas of the business, like informing content acquisition strategies. Secondly, Fremantle now has this streamlined direct connection to advertisers, allowing their data to flow into the programmatic marketplace. Third, they have this audience-based selling capability, a modern solution that aligns with this growing demand for audience-based buying. And finally, when you tie all of this together, it's about maximizing the inventory value. With publisher direct access, Fremantle is able to retain a larger share of spend by cutting out intermediaries, by offering content aligned with their premium audiences. They're able to maximize CPM potential. And then finally, they've created a new sustainable ad revenue path for their business. So in closing, I want to wrap up with just 4 key takeaways to keep in mind as you think about your own strategies in overcoming CTV fragmentation. First, unifying audience data is foundational. Bringing together fragmented data from across various touch points is critical to begin to understand your audiences holistically. Secondly, leverage AI and advanced technology for smarter audience curation. Here, AI serves as a valuable tool to be able to turn scattered data into precise real-time audience segments. Third, align with audience-based buying. The way advertisers buy continues to evolve. They're focused heavily on audiences, not just where the content is, but who's watching. It makes sense publishers would align on this as well. And then finally, simplifying the supply path with publisher direct relationships. It's about cutting out middlemen, giving advertisers more efficient and direct access to curated audiences. The fewer hops in the supply chain, the more transparent, the more cost-effective, and the more brand safe that environment becomes. So in closing, I want to take a moment to thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope this discussion has sparked some ideas on how to tackle audience fragmentation and maximize your own CTV strategies. We've covered a lot in a brief time today, but if there's anything you want to dive deeper into, or if you want to learn more about one audience, I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to reach out if you want to chat more. And thank you for being here with me this morning. Thank you.